go. Oh man, they have moved on from Billy Napier. I know the game yesterday was not all excited for Florida fans. There was coming off with the fire Billy chants. Well, they got what they wanted. They got what they wanted. Billy is no longer the head coach. They have moved on. Obviously, we heard all week going into this week that boosters had met with obviously the Florida administration and staff about the program and where the team was headed. And you kind of knew this was coming. Now, credit obviously Florida for being able to escape with the win. Now, I know Florida fans are happy about this move, as I just said earlier. They've wanted obviously this to happen. I feel like Billy wasn't getting the job done. One of the worst coaches they've had probably in program history. I get it. I think a lot of it though has to do with him obviously in the play calling. Sometimes as a coach, man, when you're not getting it done, you got to find the right people to put in place to be able to do that. Now, he did try to go out in the offseason and acquire some people and get some people and things like that. But definitely, just didn't work out that way. But I'm going to be real with y'all. I definitely think DJ Lagway has a part in this. Not saying it's the kid's fault, but his performance, his play, his production. Even last night, he was not good with the football, y'all. He had 2 interceptions, right? They had to lean on the ground game and Jaden Ball once again. And it's like for all the weapons that they have and they have had, you know what I'm saying? They should be producing way more, right? They should have way more going for themselves, you know what I'm saying? But simply, that just did not happen. And now if you're Florida, you have a big... Pete Nakos puts it best, right? They have to pay upwards of $20 million, roughly $10.2 million that is due in 30 days of his termination, which is today. But Florida felt like the pros outweigh the cons, and they said it's time for us to move on as a program. So Florida's in an interesting spot. I've heard different rumblings about their administration. I don't have an inside track on what's going on down there, but nonetheless, man, it's obviously massive. I think you'll probably see definitely some decommits. Cause a lot of the recruits like Billy, and you can say what you want about Billy and the performance on the field and them not playing well, but at the same time, man, Billy was an elite recruiter. Right, he was probably one of the best ones you had in the country to go along with like a Kirby Smart, obviously Lincoln Riley, obviously what Kalen DeBoer's doing with Alabama. Right, he's one of the best recruiters in the country. It's definitely gonna make people think about it. Definitely gonna make recruits reconsider, and he's gonna have to reach out to everybody and things like that. Now, CBS Sports obviously put it best here. It says Graham Hall says Billy Napier plans to meet with the players at 2 p.m. Right, he's already fired, so he's gonna meet with them, and obviously he's out the door. They'll be moving on for the rest of the season, and it's tough because this is one of the toughest schedules. Remember, going into the season. Florida literally plays ranked matchup after ranked matchup after ranked matchup. So even bringing in an interim coach, I don't know how much that's going to help Florida this year. But again, they're probably building for the future. And obviously, what they're trying to do and build. But, Billy, I think he did the best he could. You know what I'm saying? With what he had. I think obviously, as a head coach, sometimes you got to relinquish different things. But I think if Lagway would have been the player that turned out to be, I think Napier would have probably still had his job. Right? And when I say turn out the player to be, that's one of the top players in college football, be one of the top quarterbacks in college football, I think he would have moved on. Not moved on. I think he would have had a great tenure with Florida. I think they would have had an even better record. And we wouldn't be having these conversations today. So that's what it is, man. That's my instant reaction. Florida has moved on from their head coach. Billy Napier have fired him, and they're moving on. They're 3-4 on the season. I don't see it getting much better. But we'll see who they try to hire. And this definitely affects the Florida-Georgia rivalry because that was a game I had Florida winning. But now without their head coach, we'll see what happens.